Hey, welcome back, Yeshua lovers. At the end of last week's tour portion of Teruma, we had an Aleph and Tav treasure that I've never done a video on before, and it is in Exodus 27, verse 9. It is actually 27 this time, and it's verse 9. It's right here, Et Katzar. And let's read the English verse. You shall also make Aleph and Tav court of the tabernacle. For the south side there shall be hangings for the court of fine woven linen, 100 cubits long for one side. Now, if you're like me, you didn't grow up being taught much about the court. So let's do a little groundwork, shall we? I'm going to turn real quick to Leviticus chapter 1. All right. This is Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 1. And as you all probably already know, the temple was situated in such a way that you had the Holy of Holies on the very inside of the tabernacle, and then you had the holy place, which was where the altar of incense was and the lampstand was, but in the most holy place was where the Ark of the Covenant was, which was the seat, per se, the mercy seat, where the Almighty, His glory, dwells. But anyway, then outside the tabernacle, you had the court, and only the Levites could go in the court unless you were bringing a sacrifice. And then only the priests could go into the holy place. But then only once a year, the high priest went in to where the Ark of the Covenant was. But if a person, just a regular person, was giving sacrifices, they got to come closer not into the tabernacle, but close to the tabernacle. For instance, as in Leviticus 1, verse 3 says, if his offering is a burnt sacrifice or an olah of the herd, that's cows, the big animals, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own free will at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. The person who sacrifices a bull gets to go as close as the door of the tabernacle of meeting. The person who can only afford to give a goat or a lamb, verse 10 says, if his offering is of the flocks, of the sheep or the goats, as an olah, he shall bring a male without blemish. He shall kill it on the north side of the altar before Yahovah. So he doesn't get to go to the door of the tabernacle, but he at least gets to go to the altar, the north side of the altar before Yahovah. But if you were so poor that all you could give was a bird, then in verse 14 it says, and if the burnt offering or olah of his offering to Yahovah is of birds, then he shall bring his offering of turtle doves or young pigeons. The priest shall bring it to the altar. So the more valuable your offering was, the closer you got to be to the Almighty, the closer you got to come. So that is a little breakdown of the court of the altar. Now I'm back to Exodus 27:9, and let's look up. You know how I've said before in other videos how the letters, the Hebrew letters, mean actual things. Like they have picture meanings, they have numerical meanings, and they have action meanings. Let's look up what the het, tzadi, and resh mean. So for that, I'll go to Monty's little paper that I look at all the time. And we'll go to the het. I had these letters written here already, by the way, and those are the only three that I have actually written the letters next to, and they're the letters that we use in this word. I thought that was kind of weird. So we're going to look at the het, which was the first letter, and the picture is a fence. And the action is to enclose or private. And I'll put a little picture here on the screen showing the pictogram, the old version of the het. This is the modern Hebrew version. And then we go to the tzadi, and it looks like that. And the picture meaning is a hook. And the action is desire, catch, and need. And then, if we look at the resh, its picture meaning is a head. And it's the person or the highest person. And if you put those three words together, then you have fenced in, to enclose, private. Once you've catched or desire or need someone of high caliber, that's the court. For instance, let's go to John 10. All right, here I am in John 10, and be thinking about Yeshua catching or gathering his sheep, his valuable sheep. And in 10, starting in verse 1, Yeshua says, "Most assuredly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out." Leads them out of where? Out of their fold, out of their enclosure where he has gathered them. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. Yeshua used this illustration, but they did not understand the things which he spoke to them. Then Yeshua said to them again, "Most assuredly I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture." I'm going to read that again. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, Yeshua, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. But a hireling, he who is not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf catches the sheep and scatters them. The hireling flees because he is a hireling and does not care about the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and am known by my own. As the Father knows me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they will hear my voice, and they will be one flock and one shepherd. Therefore, my Father loves me, because I lay down my life, that I may take it again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This command I have received from my Father. No, I read all of that to say, now in verse 22, it says, Now it was the feast of dedication, which is also called Hanukkah, in Jerusalem, and it was winter. And Yeshua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Now, when he was saying all of that, he was actually in the court of the tabernacle, or the temple, actually, at that point. He was in the court. So, what I'm trying to do here is tie all of this together to Yeshua. Yeshua, as he is in the court of the temple, was talking about being the shepherd of his sheep. And the closer, well, how should I say this? The more you sacrifice, the closer you'll be able to get to the presence of the Almighty. Do you kind of understand where I'm going with this? Aleph and Tav, court, enclosure. He's the door of the sheep. He encloses his sheep. He gathers his sheep and encloses them, protects them, keeps them safe. If you understand what I'm trying to say here. I struggle with explaining things. But anyway, that is our Aleph and Tav treasure for today. Yeshua being the enclosure of the court of the tabernacle. All right. I guess it's something you kind of got to mull over, but you can look up these words also for yourself in the Strongs. But anyway, thanks for joining me, and Lahidra Oat. I wanted to add some more verses that pertain to what we're talking about here. The first one is Psalm 84:10, which reads, For a day in your courts is better than 1,000. I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of Elohai than dwell in the tents of wickedness. And then we have in Psalm 65 verse 4, Blessed is the man you choose and cause to approach you, that he may dwell in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, of your holy temple. Next we have some verses in Zechariah 3, starting in verse 6. Then the angel of Yahovah admonished Yehoshua, saying, Thus says Yahovah Tzevaot, If you will walk in my ways, and if you will keep my command, then you shall also judge my house, and likewise have charge of my courts. I will give you places to walk among these who stand here. Hear, O Yehoshua, the high priest, you and your companions who sit before you, for they are a wondrous sign. For behold, I am bringing forth my servant, the branch. In Micah chapter 2, starting in verse 12, we have, I will surely assemble all of you, O Jacob. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together like sheep of the fold, like a flock in the midst of their pasture. They shall make a loud noise because of so many people. Verse 13 is, The one who breaks open will come up before them. They will break out, pass through the gate, and go out by it. Their king will pass before them with Yahovah at their head.